Moving away from British football, some big breaking news coming out of Real Madrid last night as Xabi Alonso left the club after just 8 months in charge. Let's get straight into this, shall we? With the Athletics chief Madrid writer, Dermot Corrigan. Morning, Dermot.
Good morning, Dermot.
Hey, Jeff. Hey, Ali. How's it going?
Very well, good, mate. So was this down to player power?
Part of it was down to player power and also down to president power. That Florentino Perez is the guy who makes the decisions at Madrid, and it's been clear for quite a while that Perez was not really impressed with the job that Xabi Alonso was doing, how he was managing the team. The results weren't great through the autumn. They lost to Barcelona in the Supercopa final over the weekend, and Perez had just decided that it was time to make a change.
It's an interesting one, Dermot, because, I mean, you're obviously closer to it than I am, but I look at Real Madrid, and I don't know whether I'm right or wrong, but they look slightly troubled all over the place, you know, whether it's, I know Mbappe's form in terms of his goals have been absolutely incredible. Rodrigo scored the opening goal the other week there, but his form and goal scoring in particular hasn't been great. They look as though they've had one or two problems, but this and Real Madrid are one club probably that don't mess about. If they're not happy with the manager, they do get rid of him. But is 8 months enough?
Not really. It's very typical Real Madrid, because last year under Carlo Ancelotti, things didn't go great. Carlo, won Champions Leagues at Madrid, but his time had come to an end at the club. There was a kind of stale feeling, an end of an era feeling about it. So they went for somebody who's completely different, a much younger coach, a modern coach, a guy with new tactical ideas that he was going to bring to the club. Signed some new young players to have a whole new project, as people say, at Madrid. But then you still have the idea that it's Real Madrid and it's Florentino Perez, and you have to just win straight away. That there's no time, there's no patience within football. If you hire Alonso and you want him to play a certain type of football, he doesn't really have the players to play that type of football. He's got a lot of big name attackers. He doesn't have too many guys in midfield, a Xabi Alonso type in midfield to construct the game. And he's had lots of injuries in defence. So I have a certain sympathy with Alonso for how things have gone. He was hired to do a certain job and not really given the time to do it, I would argue.
I guess, though, that, Florentino Perez would look at that squad and think, wow, what a squad this is. And there you are. You've lost the Super Cup final. You've lost at home to Manchester City in the Champions League. You've lost at Liverpool. You're 4 points behind Barcelona. The sort of charge sheet is fairly long, Dermot.
Yeah, that's definitely the other way of looking at it. That's definitely how Florentino looks at it. Like, there are a lot of really good players in the team, but there's a lot of quite similar players. You have Mbappe and Vinicius, who are quite similar, want to play in the same position. Alonso came in and decided that Mbappe was going to be his number one guy in the team, that he was the main attacker he was going to build around. And Alonso scored an awful lot of goals, scored 55 goals in the calendar year last year, the same as much as Cristiano Ronaldo ever managed in a calendar year for Madrid. But that meant that Vinicius was upset. Vinicius made it really clear in the Clásico, when Madrid won the Clásico back in October in La Liga. Vinicius stormed off, went down the tunnel, said, "I'm going to leave the club." And he didn't. There was no sanction for that. There was no kind of punishment for that. It seemed to be that it was the president of the club said, "Well, that's up to you it's up for the coach to sort that out." And Alonso wasn't really able to sort it out. And from there, things kind of fell away. The performances in the games weren't great. Alonso seemed to go against the kind of his own instincts. Maybe he gave a bit too much leeway to the bigger name players in the team. He started to play more of a counter-attacking type of a game than the high intensity, high pressing game that he had first come in to play. And it just kind of fell apart. There's been a poor a poor feeling around the club, around the stadium. Even at the last couple of games, the fans have been booing Vinicius as well, whistling Vinicius at the stadium. And Perez just decided he had to make a change.
Damn it, is that one of the major problems that Madrid have? The fact that the egos and the power that the players have is far too strong. I mean, I look at somebody like Ancelotti and probably Zidane, who, in my opinion, look as though they handle that magnificently well, really, really well. But perhaps a normal or a lesser coach or manager, in terms of stature, it might be a harder thing for them to handle. It certainly looks that way to me. I mean, you look at Mbappe, as I say, you can't argue his figures. His figures have been nothing short of tremendous. But I don't think there's any doubt there's an ego there, particularly him and Vinicius.
Yeah, for sure. Bellingham as well is another guy who needs handling, I think, as seen with England as well. For sure, like, it's Real Madrid. It's a pretty unique club in many ways. It's very difficult to be the Real Madrid manager. And they're kind of stuck between two stools in a way, in that by hiring Alonso, it looked like they wanted to bring in a new manager, a new kind of modern guy, a project manager, a guy who was going to play a certain way. But that requires the buy-in from all of the players, and Alonso wasn't getting that, and then he wasn't getting the support from the president to go and tell the players, look, you have to follow this guy. It was clear for a while that he didn't have the full confidence from the top of the club, and that allows the big name players the chance to, I don't think they're down tools or anything. Like Vinicius played quite well, scored a brilliant goal at the weekend.
Yeah.
Bellingham as well said during the Supercopa that all the players were behind him. Neither of those have done any goodbye on social media. It's sometimes maybe you read a bit too much into these things, but some of the Madrid players, including Mbappe, have come out with "thank you very much, manager. We learned a lot from you. We wish you the best in the future." But there's been silence from Bellingham and Vinicius as well, which tells its own story, I think.
Dermot, thanks so much for joining us.
Dermot.
Cheers, out. Cheers.
All the best.
Who would have thought today Real Madrid and Manchester United both without managers? Dan, the Spurs fan, says, after Xabi Alonso's departure from Real Madrid, if I was Spurs, I'd get him in as soon as possible. And Phil from Broadstairs said Real Madrid have turned into PSG, the same as United. When the players run the dressing room, it turns into the Harlem Globetrotters.
I think that's a great point. I really, really do. You cannot let players take over the restroom. And on that, did you see that result last night? PSG were beaten by Paris FC.
Yeah, in the French Cup, wasn't it?
Yeah, 1-0.
Yeah, absolutely. But look, I mean, Xabi Alonso, he's going to be in massive, massive demand. United, Spurs. Spurs have got a manager, You can't keep changing. You tried so many big name managers. Surely at some point somebody has to come to the conclusion it's something more than the manager. Yeah, absolutely. 03717223344. Let's hear from you. If you've got some thoughts on Xabi Alonso, I've got no doubt plenty of you would want him at your club.